Hi everyone, I am really excited to present our paper on participants' view in PD projects to you. My name is Sara Klüber and I present this work on behalf of all my co-authors. What this work is all about is participants' view on PD ideas during individual activities such as ideation workshops or similar. As you all know, PD projects aim at two-way rather than one-way processes. And to do so, several criteria such as co-realization, mutual learning, or having a say have been introduced. Expected outcomes of PD projects are a better fit of technologies, but also participants' gains. While participants' gains may show up in the long term, this may only happen if every action, such as an individual workshop, already pushed forward such aims. Therefore, it is important that every single method, tool, and technique used during PD projects contributes to co-realization, mutual learning, and having a say. But how can we be sure whether this is actually the case? How do we know how much or little individual activities contributed to such aims? And how do we know by which mechanisms they did so? These questions and our paper ask for systematic evaluations of individual activities regarding their capacity to support PD ideals. More specifically, this question asks for participants' perspectives. This is in line with several recent calls for more systematic evaluations in PD. Evaluations in PD have been performed ever since. However, evaluations of participants' views are rare. I referred to some exceptions of them on the present slide. Most of these examples focus on the long term and the general outcomes of a PD project on participants. The evaluations are usually carried out retrospectively with hours of interviews or analysis by researchers. However, such evaluations may not answer questions of the effects of individual methods or activities and how they contributed to PD ideas, which we refer to as short-term. So taken together, the remaining question is, how well do our methods support the ideas of PD from the participant's perspective? Given this question, our work calls for more systematic evaluations of PD methods regarding participants' gains and regarding participants' points of view. To aid all of you in evaluating your methods and to demonstrate the usefulness of such evaluations, I will give an example of an evaluation that we performed in one of our projects on the next few slides. When planning an evaluation, several simple questions may guide the process. And to make this presentation a little more interactive, I would like you to think about your latest PD project and to answer the questions for the evaluation of your own project. Purpose. In our case, we wanted to know how well our methods supported PD ideas, which is more of a summative evaluation, as well as why the method did so, which is more of a formative evaluation. We wanted to understand and at the same time improve our methods. Who? Given observed differences between researchers and participants' impression of outcomes in prior research, we wanted to see whether these differences would appear in our research as well. We therefore chose to integrate all people involved, researchers and participants. Criteria. The third question does not only refer to which criteria to use, but also to whom to include in choosing the criteria. Given that we aim at supporting PD ideas such as having a say in any actions performed, we need to consider to include participants in setting criteria as well. We therefore decided to include some questions that we were interested in, such as how well the workshop supported mutual learning, but also allowed participants to predefine own criteria in the very beginning of the workshop. Procedure. When including voluntary participants that have limited time resources, it is important to select a procedure that fits such restrictions. We therefore chose to ask 4 questions only. These questions were first rated on a Likert scale between 1 and 7, and the results were made visible for everyone to trigger a discussion and joint interpretation of them. This procedure took us around 10 minutes only. And last but not least, documentation and response formats are two more important questions to be asked that I will not detail here, but that you can read about in the paper. The workshop evaluated was part of a larger project called For Democracy that is still ongoing. The project aims at digitally supporting local political participation in a specific area in our city that you can see on this picture and that is currently being rebuilt. I will not go into details within this talk, as we think it is more important to spark ideas on own evaluations. The method evaluated and reported on in the paper was an ideation workshop based on data collected before. The data was consolidated into an affinity diagram together, and the workshop consisted of several steps in order to generate design ideas and key insights. Overall, the workshop took around 3.5 hours with 7 participants and 2 researchers. In the end of the workshop, we performed the before-mentioned evaluation that really aided in adjusting our methods used. Here you can see the original paper sheet used in the workshop to make ratings visible and to spark discussion. In line with previous research, we found a difference in participants' and researchers' ratings of the workshop's capacity to support mutual learning. One participant said, "So I've now rated it with 5, because every now and then I picked up something where I thought to myself, oh, okay, maybe I would have thought about it that way in this context." Overall, we recognized that participants valued the exchange not only between researchers and participants, but also between participants and participants. Our methods did not directly promote such an exchange, so the feedback was valuable in planning future workshops. The overall evaluation was valuable to our project, and we hope that others will join in evaluating their methods as well. We were able to gain a better understanding of our methods and their capacities to support PD ideas, which enabled us to improve them. We also found the prior reported difference between ratings from researchers and participants. This further highlights the importance to give voice to participants. The combination of quantitative and qualitative data was very useful to the procedure, as participants were required to specify their impression and were therefore also prepared to explain and defend it in a discussion. A last thought we want to share with you is the fact that we should carefully consider participants' roles in evaluations. Participants engaged in a PD project at eye level. This ideal could or even should be an ideal for evaluations of PD methods as well. Here we got some references if you are interested, and this research was funded by the Bavarian State Ministry for Science and Art. Thank you for listening, and I'm happy to take questions and to see you all soon.